Hello, and thank you so much for stepping onto your mat today. Let's begin in child's pose. Take a moment to settle into your child's pose. You can bring knees together, maybe knees out wide for a little more hip opening. Arms can lengthen forward or maybe reach them down by your sides for embryo pose. Can get out any little wiggles that you need, wiggle into the hips, maybe tilt the head side to side, massaging through the forehead, releasing through the neck. Eventually finding stillness. Then bring a little more attention in towards the breath as you inhale deep through the nose. And exhale, let it go. Again, deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more time, inhale, begin to fill up through the belly, feel the ribs expand, upper back lift, and open mouth, let it go. As you're ready, inhale lifts you up through tabletop position. We'll take some movement here through cat-cow. So as you inhale, drop the belly, open up through the chest, maybe squeeze the shoulder blades together. On your exhale, press the floor way around through the spine. A few more just like that. Any other movement, side to side. You can take circles through the hips, the spine. And maybe even keep the eyes closed. See if you can allow the movement to follow the breath. About 1 or 2 breaths here to even out your cat-cow. Eventually we'll meet in tabletop position. So shoulders stack up over wrists, hips over knees. We'll take a one-leg child's pose. So extend your right leg out long, perpendicular towards your body. On your exhale, begin to sink the hips back into that left heel. Right toes can stay grounded, or you can keep the heel down, toes flexing up. And 4 more breaths here. And 2 more breaths. See if you can create a little more opening across the chest, maybe sink the hips a little deeper. 1 more full breath in. And stay for the exhale. Take your time, come back through center, cat-cow. Any little movement here you need to release. Eventually we'll take that to the other side. So restacking shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. This time we'll extend our left leg out long, bringing it perpendicular towards our body. Heel, toes can be grounded, or maybe just the heels, toes flexing up. On your exhale, sink your hips back into your right heel. Keep melting your chest forward. Arms can lengthen forward. And 4 more breaths. One more full breath in. And stay for the exhale. Take your time, come back through center, cat-cow, tabletop. Again, any little movements you need to release. You can choose to stay here, option to take a few breaths in child's pose, or option for down dog if that feels restful to you. If you're in that down dog, you can pedal out through the feet, maybe shake the head yes and no. And setting up for lizard on the right. If you're in that down dog, option to inhale, that right leg will lift. You can bend your knee, stack your hips, 3-legged dog. Can draw circles with the knee, maybe bend and flex that right leg. Then as you're ready, we'll step that right foot to the outside of our right hand, lizard lunge. And take your time to land. Maybe you keep that back knee lifted. You can point and flex the left foot as you shift the weight forward and back. A few more breaths here. You can choose to stay, option to lower down to your forearms, lower the back knee. A few more breaths here. Notice if you hold any tension in the shoulders or the jaw. And 6 more breaths. If you have a variation of your lizard, more than welcome to take it. Otherwise, make the choice to stay and breathe. Take your time as you're ready. Begin to unwind. We'll step that right leg back and lower down knees, chest, chin, come all the way down to the belly. Hands underneath shoulders. Inhale, baby cobra. Lift your chest, gazes forward and down. And on your exhale, release. Send your hips back, child's pose. Option to come into that down dog. A few breaths here, stillness, or maybe pedal at the legs. If you're in that down dog, left leg can lift. Maybe bend your knee, stack your hip, just yawning that left side open. And then as you're ready, we'll step our left foot forward, lizard lunge. Left foot to the outside of the left hand. You can keep the back toes tucked, knee lifted if you'd like. Maybe point and flex the right toes as you shift your weight forward and back, and creating a little more movement into the hips. Can choose to stay as long as you'd like, or if you would like, you can lower the back knee, maybe lower down to forearms or blocks if you have them. A few more breaths here. Again, notice if you hold any tension anywhere in the shoulders, the jaw. With your next exhalation, can you make the choice to let something go? And 6 more breaths. If you took a variation in your lizard, you can take that now. Otherwise, choose to stay and breathe. And take your time. When you feel about even, you can begin to unwind. Can step that left leg back, lower down knees, chest, chin, come all the way down to the belly. Option for baby cobra or full cobra. As you inhale, lift your chest. And exhale, release back down. Send your hips back, child's pose or downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Breathe in and breathe out. Full breath in. Full breath out. And take your time. Eventually, we'll step the feet forward towards the top of the mat. We'll meet in a forward fold. You can bring feet about hip width distance. Option here for a ragdoll, soft bend in the knees. You can keep the hands grounded, maybe find a bind, reaching for opposite elbow, interlace hands behind the head or back. About 3 or 4 breaths here. You can shake the head yes and no, maybe sway side to side. If you have that bind, slowly release. We'll take an IT band stretch here. So left hand underneath the nose. You can also add a block underneath if you have it. I'm trying to find a nice, long, flat spine. Bend your left knee, twist right. Right leg stays straight. You can keep your right hand towards your hip or maybe right fingers up towards the sky. Gaze can follow. And 4 more breaths. Take your time as you're ready. Come back through center. You can pedal out through the legs. Maybe shake the head yes and no. Eventually, no rush. We'll take that twist to the other side. So right hand underneath the nose. Bend your right knee, twist left. Left hand to hip, maybe left fingers up towards the sky. Left leg stays straight. And 4 more breaths. When you feel about even, we'll come back through center, paddle out through the legs, shake the head yes and no. Eventually, we'll make our way into Malasana, or yogi squat, heels in, toes out. Maybe bring the feet out a little wider. On your exhale, sink the hips, hands can come to prayer. 4 breaths here. And take your time. We'll release the hands down towards the earth. If you're not already there, we'll make our way into a seat. You can bring your feet out in front, bend your knees, windshield wiper the legs side to side, create a little movement into the hips, release. Take your time, we'll make our way to Janu Sirsasana. We'll bring our left leg in, right leg extends out long. We'll take this into a side bend. So right hand will reach for your right shin, ankle, maybe your foot. You can bring your elbow to the inside of the right leg. Make sure your hips are grounded. Left arm will reach up and over, reaching in the direction of the right toes. See if you can keep shoulders stacked over one another. So left shoulder back, right shoulder forward. Maybe lift your gaze. Keep squaring your chest over towards the left. 4 more breaths. And take your time, begin to unwind. You can windmill back the other direction, left hand behind your hips. Option to lift your hips up onto that left shin. Find a little back bend here, modified gate pose. Maybe some circles through that top arm as you open up through the chest. Then as you're ready, other side, lower the hips. This time, right leg in, left leg extends out long. Left hand to the shin, ankle, or maybe the foot. You can bring your left elbow to the inside of your left leg. Again, make sure hips are grounded. And as you're ready, right arm reaches up and over, reaching in the direction of the left toes. Keep squaring your chest open towards the right, so draw your right shoulder back. And maybe lift your gaze. 4 more breaths. See if you can create space not only through the right ribs, but also through the left as you keep lengthening over towards the left toes. Take your time as you're ready. Begin to unwind. Right hand behind the hips. You can lift your hips. Find a little back bend here, modified gate pose, circles through that left arm. Take your time as you're ready. Release the hips back down. Make your way into a seat. Any little movements you need to release, and no rush to get there. Eventually we'll make our way into a seated forward fold. You can extend the legs out straight in front. Maybe plant your hands by your thighs, press down to lift your hips and scoot them up and back. Soft bend in the knees. As you inhale, reach the arms up overhead. See if you can lengthen up and out of the ribs all the way through the fingertips. On your exhale, begin to fold forward. Think about reaching your chest towards your toes, trying to keep that length in the spine. Hands can maybe bind for quads, shin, ankle, or feet. And take a few breaths here. Notice if you hold any tension anywhere in the shoulders, the jaw, and the legs. With your next exhalation, can you let something go? Maybe sink a little deeper. And taking your time, slowly begin to lift back up. You can plant your feet, windshield wiper the legs again side to side. Any other little movements you need to release through the legs. Eventually we'll make our way either into figure 4 or half pigeon. For figure 4, you can extend onto your back, bring one leg across. For half pigeon, you can come forward, making sure your hips are squared and grounded. And take your time to land. We'll take about 8 to 10 breaths here. Take your time, slowly begin to unwind. You can windshield wiper the legs, maybe pass through tabletop or down dog. Any movement you need to release. No rush to get there. Eventually we'll make our way to the other side. You can come onto your back for your figure 4 or extend forward for half pigeon. If you're on that half pigeon, making sure your hips are squared and grounded. We'll take another 8 to 10 breaths here. And taking your time, slowly begin to unwind. Option again to windshield wiper the legs. You can pass through tabletop or down dog. Any little movements you need through the legs to release through the hips. If you're not already there, we'll make our way onto our backs for Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet together, knees out wide like butterfly legs. If you prefer a different shape, you can bring the knees together at the top, feet out towards the edges of the mat. Option for the hands, you can rest them on inner thighs, maybe one hand at chest, one's at belly, or maybe extend arms up overhead. Option to close the eyes. Then begin to deepen in the breath as you inhale deep through the nose. And exhale, let it go. A few more breaths here. Can choose to stay here longer if you'd like. Otherwise, if you're ready, you can use your hands to draw the knees together, rock side to side, maybe find a full happy baby. We'll close our class with a breath. You can choose to stay on the back or maybe rock up into a seat. You can keep the eyes closed if you'd like. And when you're ready, we'll take a full breath in, fill it through the belly. Feel the ribs expand, chest lift. And exhale, open mouth, let it go. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my practice with you today, and I hope to be with you next time you're on your mat.